For the latest film interviews, reviews, and everything making news in pop culture, subscribe to Film Companion now. Hey everyone, I am thrilled to see all of you. First of all, it's so nice to see, always so nice to see so many directors together. And I have lots of questions about Unpaused, starting with, as I was watching it, I was thinking that we are all living through this moment in history. And in a sense, you are among the first artists to respond to this moment. What was that like? What was it like to figure out uh, these are the stories we need to tell about a time, even as you're still processing it? There's no distance here. You are in it as we speak, and you're creating stories that respond to this incredible time that we're in. What was that experience?
That's Tanishta's moment. I think she should talk about it.
Well, uh, so of course, when I was told that, okay, there's this story, do you want to direct it? My initial response was, um, as far as safety is concerned, maybe it's my selfish interest. It's better to direct right now than to be an actor on set without masks. So I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, I want to do something. I want to get out and like express myself. Um, and what I liked about the story was that yes, there's this huge moment that we are in. It's a historic moment as far as world history is concerned, and yet somewhere there's very little that's happening around us. Like some things are not that dramatic. Like yes, we are in a lockdown, we are not going out, and uh, our lives have changed, our domestic healths are not coming, we are wearing masks and meeting people, and yet something is not that dramatic uh, as well. Like it's emotionally something has shifted very subtly inside us. It's more internal, and there are little things that keep happening in our lives which are so different, which never happened before, but something is so dramatic and yet not so dramatic, and that's what actually connected me to the story. And I think all of us individually reacted to it differently, and that therefore I think you'll have a very different scale of things that you see in these stories, because
Yeah.
all our individual experiences to this process is so different, and to this event.
No, I was thinking that perhaps that's why we're seeing so many anthologies, uh, because there cannot be one response.
Yeah.
There can't be one take on what has happened.
But
Raj,
Anupama, I
yeah,
also think that really lends itself to originality, because what reference do you have
yeah,
for a time like this? We always, like I was saying earlier, also we always choose to reference things, right? Like, oh, we're doing a film, let's reference. There will be a time. What are you going to reference for this? So I think you really needed to, when it came to like picking the story you want to tell, I think it was really about that individual at that time experiencing what they were experiencing. And for me, it was very simple. It was like, I was worried, I was with my family with a little baby, and I was like, I don't know if I can go on set again, and how do I trust again? And so therefore I was like, oh, my greatest concern is trust, right? So I mean, somewhere my story, Chand Mubarak, talks about learning to trust again, so yeah. But it does lend itself to originality. I think that's going to be the fun thing about any stories, not only this anthology but others as well,
yeah,
that come out during this time.
yeah.
If I,
Rajan,
if I can just add to what Nitya is saying, Anupama, in the sense that Aparna called up and just said that this is what we want you to do. This is these are the parameters that you need to use to tell the story, right? It has to be this, and whatever the COVID protocols that they did put for us, limited crew, limited number of days, you all can't meet each other, all the prep, all that. So whereas what Nitya is saying is what is the reference for me? That it was a total opposite, Anupama. For me suddenly it was that I had heard so many stories of loneliness and depression and the same, the hamster wheel going every day, waking up, same routine, same, watching the same programs, talking to the same people, that I just felt that how can we create, so, and I actually, my story comes from an incident that a very close friend of mine went through, so I actually had to process that. I actually had to speak to her. I actually had to ask her that, can I use it? Can I actually put this out there? So so again, I was very lucky that I had a reference point, and when normally also, Anupam, normally I would not be able to tell that story on a larger format.
Yeah.
That it would have so many other issues in terms of कौन प्ले करेगा, ये एक्टर कौन है, ये गाना है कि नहीं अंदर, ये गाना डालना चाहिए, all that kind of thing. The only thing that I was worried about is that Amazon Prime and Aparna told me it needs to be happy in the end. I said, oh shit, it has to be happy in the end.
I'm going to ask about that. I'm going to come to that. I'm going to come to that, the happy bit. But I also want to hear from Raj and DK about placing your film in the future. Is that the only way you could have put humor in there? Is that why you did it?
I didn't know. I didn't
Oh,
know
wow.
you knew. I didn't know you knew
Oh,
that part
looks
about
like she
it.
saw
In
it.
fact, yeah. Have you seen the film? Have
Of
you?
course.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't realize that viewing has happened. So I
Here's
didn't realize you guys knew that. I wasn't speaking about it.
here's how we saw it. We picked it. Is that I was when they called me and said, can you make a short? And I'm like, what? We haven't made a short in a long time. I don't have stories brewing. I have enough for features and series. I don't have one for short. So I said, if I find good one, then I will do it. So we were just thinking what to do, and nothing was appealing enough. Matlab, or something I could contribute, or I don't know. So nothing first hand, or listening to the stories, and I just didn't know what to do. And then suddenly this idea came, and Reshu wrote it, and this is the first time we're directing somebody else's story, by the way. So she said, how about this? How about a story that's just 15 years ahead?
Right.
And then immediately we were brainstorming. So it's just a little seed that came in saying something unique. Basically, since we were doing this format after a long time, and you get to do it very rarely, I said, I have to use this. I have to exploit the hell out of this format to do something crazy that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. That was the idea, more than this is the only way to get humor.
One of the thoughts behind making this, when we were making this back in, like everybody said, August, September. I mean, the idea started germinating from May, and we were making it in about August, September, when the lockdown was lifted in Mumbai. And see, we were also cognizant of the fact that we have to actually make it, and it'll release. And when people are watching it, I don't know what the situation is going to be. Like, maybe there's a vaccine now and people are suddenly going back to their lives, right? So didn't want it to get too specifically, set in that period. And so we took a little leap of faith here, saying, okay, I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal this to you guys, but it's set in the future, and there is a pandemic still on 15 years from now. So it's a rather depressing scenario in that sense, but the story is quite happy.
I loved the transparent mask she was wearing. So I think that somebody needs to be making more of those. That was very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it requires special carbon fiber technology and stuff that is not there yet. It'll be there 15 years from now.
Patent it.
Indeed. Yeah. Indeed. Tell me, for a year that's been on pause, how did you all come up with the title of Unpaused?
I think that credit goes to
Amazon.
Okay,
yeah,
so it was her idea
Aparna.
then. This is Aparna Purohit from Amazon, for all those watching who don't know which Aparna we're referring to. So she said that the title has to be Unpaused.
Yeah,
right.
The team at Amazon, basically.
I think she's the only one who actually watched all our films, right? Or at least had an idea of the scripts before we were going to production. So she had a full picture. As far as we are concerned, honestly, I knew all these filmmakers were making films, but I don't think any of us had an idea, or at least a full idea of what each person's story was going to be. Now we are seeing the trailer, so we're getting a sense of what the film is. But until now, I really had no idea what everybody else was making.
So you haven't seen each other's right now?
No.
Nope. No. Only the trailer. So you're the lucky one, Anupama. You're the lucky one who's seen everything.
I love it. I I love it.
In
So,
fact,
okay.
like DK said that, before the trailer, we had no idea, I mean, what each one of us are making.
Right, right. No, so I'm not going to I'm not going to give out any spoilers, but Avinash, I have to ask you about this one moment in your film, which was just so beautiful. Gitika plays the wife of a migrant, and at one point she understands that their situation is going to change, and there's just this sea of emotion that crosses her face, and it was just so amazing. It's such a beautiful moment of acting. Tell me about creating that without giving away spoilers to anyone.
See, basically, जैसे मतलब for me, it has been a very different. All these 8-9 months have been very different. Like Patalok released and like
And big
I was
applause for
used.
that, Avinash.
Thank
Big
you,
applause.
thank you,
Terrific.
thank you so much, thank you so much. So basically, as a cinematographer, I was used to shooting at least 10 to 15 days a month, and suddenly, like last 15 years, I'm following this routine every month after the another. And suddenly, like, yeah, means there is no work, you can't see your friends and this and that. And फिल्म में मैं ज्यादा देखता नहीं हूँ अभी, क्योंकि वो बहुत पहले छूट गया था. I don't know why, because it's like I just sit and meditate like most of the time. But first time I realized that, like how self-centered I am as a person, like when, like, क्योंकि जब काम चलता रहता है, सारी चीजें होती है, तो बस उसी के स्पीड में आप लगे रहते हो, वही एक रिदम आपका रहता है. But suddenly, like, you are in a family, and with my son is 2.5 years old, my wife and all, and like पहली बार मुझे महसूस हुआ कि या मीन्स लाइक I'm really मीन्स लाइक बाहर के लोग, मतलब आपके बहुत करीबी लोग ही आपको अच्छी तरह से जानते हैं, बाहर आपको पता नहीं है मतलब किस तरह की आप इमेज रखते हो या फिर क्या होता है. तो इट हैज बीन अ वेरी सेल्फ इंट्रोस्पेक्टिव जर्नी फॉर मी. एंड as far as this film goes, when Aparna shared this concept of such a kind of short films, like she want to convert into this beautiful anthology, and so I just felt like it's a good opportunity to tell the story of our times. And बहुत कम मतलब मैंने तो बहुत since like मतलब short film, I always wanted to make short films, because yes, like when I was studying in FTII and working in diploma films, and तो वो था, और film मुझे शॉर्ट फिल्म बनानी थी, और काफी एक्सपेरिमेंट आप कर सकते हो फिल्म के साथ और सब्जेक्ट्स के साथ, क्योंकि जो जिस तरह के सब्जेक्ट्स आपको मेन स्ट्रीम कहानियों में आप नहीं कह सकते हो, वो सारा एक्सरसाइज आप यहाँ पे कर सकते हो. एंड आई एम एक्सट्रीमली ग्रेटफुल दैट जब अपना ने मुझे बोला कि होपफुल थोड़ा सा फिल्म, और तो आई डोंट नो, मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगा कि होपफुल मीन्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट, बिकॉज इट्स लाइक क्योंकि मुझे जो दिख रहा था एंड द काइंड ऑफ कंसर्न व्हिच आई हैड, एंड तो मुझे लगा कि यार आई वांट टू टेल द स्टोरी ऑफ दिस, लाइक व्हाटएवर आई एम फीलिंग, एंड इफ यू आर ओके विद इट, एंड आई डोंट नो हाउ मच होप विल बी देयर इन द फिल्म, बट आई like so like she agreed kind of, and I really like I felt really good. And क्योंकि बहुत कम बार ऐसा मौका मिलता है कि कुछ दोस्त एक साथ मिलके आ जाओ और आप बिना कुछ एक्सपेक्ट किए और बिना किसी लाइक शोशेबाजी के साथ कुछ एक सब्जेक्ट आप सामने रख पाओ. So coming back to the question which you asked, actually, because like I was really क्योंकि मुझे बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि लाइक कि मैं स्क्रिप्ट में भी ज्यादा इमोट नहीं करता हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि बिकॉज सिनेमा इज समथिंग इट्स लाइक इट्स अ वेरी इक्वानिमस sort of a art form, like the more equanimous it is, you realize and you get to the truth, because truth भी बहुत subjective है, हर किसी का truth अलग है. बट लेकिन आई गेस जितना इक्वानिमसली देख पाओ चीजों को, तो वो ज्यादा लोगों तक वो उस मतलब रेजोनेट करती है और वो पहुंचती है. तो आई फील कि I just give it to the actors. Yeah, means like they just got it, they understood it and felt it. So when you feel like okay, someone is feeling it and you feel it right, and you feel that okay, this is what that moment of truth for you is while you are looking at that take. So you just वही है, क्योंकि otherwise shoot करते वक्त और मतलब मुझे कुछ पता नहीं होता है, मतलब मैं बहुत confused होता हूँ unless and until like actor comes and emotes and you feel it, and that's it. That's where the magic happens in a way. So yeah, all goes to the actor. I guess, yeah.
She's wonderful. Tell me, what did you all enjoy, if we can say enjoy, about shooting in the pandemic? What did you like about the pared down crew, the rules? Like, a lot of people told me, well, it might actually make filmmaking more efficient. Did that happen?
I mean, for us, basically, it felt like it was a throwback to some 10 years ago when we were making these small, tiny independent films with a very tiny crew and no frills at all. And I think we've since forgotten how to make a movie in a very simple setup like that. And this was a throwback to that. Of course, there is a constant stress. I mean, I wouldn't say it's enjoyable because there's a constant stress. And in our case, even like 4 days before we were supposed to shoot, there was a scare. And we didn't know if we were actually going to go on the floor. Set construction had started, but we didn't even know if we were going to do it because there was a scare. And everything turned out to be okay, like a day before the shoot. So there was an uncertainty of, are we going to shoot? And what happens if during the shoot, something happens? And also, actually, Raj and I, we were exposed to somebody who tested positive like the day before the shoot. So we didn't even know if you're supposed to go on shoot. So what happened was we went to the location and we had a separate tent set up for us outside the set, and we were watching in the monitor and explaining things without actually interacting with people on set for a day. And then the results came that evening that we were all negative. So the next day was a little better, but the first day was actually done like
Wow.
that. I mean, so that way it's actually a bit stressful and a lot of uncertainty. But the good takeaway from that is, like I said, how in our initial film, there's literally only 10 people making a film, and you know, everybody's doing everything, and there is no huge crew and all that tamjam. This was back to that, the basics of independent filmmaking with no frills. That
So,
that
so
was that
this,
was a positive takeaway.
yeah, so this might
Yeah.
make independent filmmakers out of everyone, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And what did you miss most about pre-pandemic shooting? Like, what's the one thing you really wished you could have done?
Not wearing a mask, not wearing a mask,
Yeah, I
or
have to
at least,
second that.
yeah,
That
yeah.
mask is just so, it's like, I remember I was talking to Ratna, I was trying to explain, we were like, they're in a rickshaw, we're in another vehicle with the monitor. I get off, I'm like, okay, she can't hear me, but I'll go, and I'm trying to explain it to her. It's raining, and you don't realize how much facial, like, lip movement is important in understanding. Lip reading is important in understanding what the other person is saying, and that too, I have to agree that that's the most frustrating part, is just not being able to, like, and also, like, just social. I want to, like, sit in that rickshaw with the actors, be reading, and that just makes it so difficult.
Hmm.
I think
Distance, the mask.
yeah, the limited crew is something which is quite wonderful and streamlined. But having said all that, this experience was not about just shooting in a limited crew or limited resources. This is also, we had a fear, we had masks, we couldn't come nearby. They were limiting our creative processes. So it's, I mean, I would say that, yeah, I mean, even I really missed rehearsing with my actors, reading with them, being in the same room with them, explaining it to them, not just sitting in the monitor. And mask is it's painful when you wear like 14. On the first day of our shoot, we were wearing shields and masks. From the second day onwards, we just could not bear that shield because all of us started having a headache. Wearing a shield for 14 hours is really not simple. I think, my respect for all our health workers really went up. Just imagining that they do this with a PPE kit day in and day out under real stress of life and death. I don't know how they do it. So, Anupama, so this was, I mean, on the one hand, yes, we could be more intimate with a smaller crew, but we weren't able to be more intimate. So it was actually limiting.
Hmm. And Nikhil, for you, you've done the biggest of movies. What was this experience like?
Yeah, but Anupama, when I'm doing if you come onto my set, I'm the only one who's screaming most of the time and saying, get every off the set, get every off the set, get every off the set. right? I eventually I feel that once all the Raj DK was saying, once the Tam Jam is over, right, and everything is set up, you just want to be there with the actors. So for
Yeah.
me, it was the first phone call that actually went out. Once Aparna called me up and told me that this is something that we want to try and do. The first person I called up was the DOP, and Kaushal has shot Mumbai Diaries with me, and we've had a great time over there. And by the time I finished shooting Mumbai Diaries with him, there were times that I would not even go in the car or the rickshaw or any place, because I just knew Kaushal could do what I want him to do. We were already syncing in that way. So for me, the first phone call went to Kaushal and said, Kaushal, listen, we need a crew of 10 people. How many do you need? And he said, I just need one person. And he's a young kid from LA, and he said, I just need one person. I said, but I might not be on the set for some time. So he said, that's okay. We'll do some readings and all that, and we'll figure it out with the actors. So for me, it was blissful. I mean, yes, the mask is a problem and the shield is a problem or whatever. And I don't know whether I'm allowed to say this, but the shield did come off, like Tannishtha saying. Start after the first take, that was not coming. The shield was thrown away, and then everything started. So all those things happen slowly, and then you are basically, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to have 6 people on set and 4 people off set, and then you're saying, "Arey, get that person out so I can go in." So all those things were part and the thing. We had a lot of fun during the readings, because Richa likes to her process is she keeps calling herself the mood that she's feeling that day. So like it says on Film Companion on your screen right now, some other name would come up. My husband is a so and so, because she has a husband who's a so and so in the. So it was. I think we learned with the process, and I think that the main thing that has really worked for me is the limited crew. And all my now production. I keep telling when the other directors say, but I need so many people. I say, why? I did with 10, yeah. Why do you need?
Correct.
You don't need.
Yeah.
कुछ नहीं चाहिए अभी आप. So it's I'm bullying a lot of people in the productions right now. I did with 10. You don't need more people.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the optimism, the hope that most of these films, I'll say most, leave you with. At least they allow you to believe that in all of this, people have made a connection. They made a human connection with each other. So was this sort of corporate mandate that they have to be hopeful?
So I'll go. Okay, Nitya, you go for it.
No. Never, Nikhil.
So I'm saying, so the toughest part, I think, Anupama must have been Aparna's. I mean, for Jerry, this is the first time, all of us are saying, this is the first time we are also talking amongst each other. Not as if we all picked up the phone and say, hey, what are you making? Tu kya bana rahi hai? Main kya bana raha hu? Ye wagera, right? I think the toughest part, I think Aparna had, because, I mean, when you tell a filmmaker, right, short film, they maybe say, oh shit, okay, I'm going to do something that I can't do in the series, or I can't do that in my features. So I'm going to really push the envelope over here. And the first thing she says, no, you can't push. It has to end with positivity. It has to end with hope. We don't want people to get scared of the pandemic. We want people to, so all these things are something. I'm sure she stressed this to all of them. And so I think hearing what we were coming back with the writers must have constantly been with her that, but little more hope, in the end, can you probably do that? And to somewhere marry what Nitya was doing with what I was doing, with what Raj DK was doing, or Tannishtha and Avinash, there had to be a common thread, right? In the sense, somewhere or the other. So what that common thread for her was that it all has to end with some level of positivity, right? That there is light at the end of the tunnel, So it's not, I mean, we are having this conversation in December. The pandemic started in March. We were, as DK said, we spoke about this in May, June. So at that time, when she said there's light at the end of the tunnel, we said, what light? What light you're talking about? There's no light.
Nitya, what were you saying?
No, but pretty much like Nikhil. I was going to say the same thing. I think at that time, we were coming up with terms like, oh, the new normal. I think people, even within families I mean, there was a lot of gloom and doom. I mean, a lot of people were not working. It was
Of course.
difficult to make money. It was a difficult time. So I do think that Aparna is. I mean, I remember my conversation with her. I was like, oh God, Aparna, are you going to tell us all of us to get into an apartment and make a two-people film? And she was like, no, that I won't tell you. But I mean, obviously, most of these films will be two people because it was a 10-people crew. So, but she said, what I will tell you is that in this period, let's just try and give out some positivity, because it is a tough time for most people in the world right now. So yeah.
Okay. And finally, I want to ask each one of you, how has this year changed you as a storyteller? Avinash, can we start with you?
Oh, I guess ये बता पाना बहुत मुश्किल है कि क्या exactly,
अभी
because
नहीं
it's a
पता.
change. Yeah, because change is
बहुत
such a
मुश्किल
gradual
है.
process, you know. It's a very gradual process, and it's like, because how can you just like so the time will tell. Means like there are certain work of areas which I have got to know about myself, that okay, yeah, on a personal level these are the things that you need to work on, and yeah, so I'm hopeful कि वही एक yeah, means I don't have much to say about it actually.
It was a good study to look at yourself, look at people around you. Of course, everybody went through the mortality that's in everybody's head every other day, and talking to your friends and talking to people who are jobless, and everybody was. But then some people, it was hitting some people very hard.
Yeah.
I think the mental life was being lived in the mind more than outside. So that was, I'm saying the same thing for everybody. I'm sure everybody went through the same thing. So it's a very strange time. And then you make promises, and then you make plans. You say how you're going to be a better person, how you're going to approach life, how you have all kinds of to-do lists. So I did that, at least. So I had all kinds of stuff, and I wanted to learn this, I wanted to be this. Then you're also seeing, as things are opening up, irrespective of the virus is there or not, that you're going back to being where you were. So it's really the human adaptation, I guess. How you're talking to God now and making plans, and then as things open up, you're being back to being like how the world was. So watching this, others do it, you do it, and still telling yourself, I need to learn something out of it. I'm sure we did. I'm sure I did. Like Avinash is saying, that only if it's put in practice, then we realize that, oh yeah, it came from there.
Adding to what he said, it's like, yeah, I mean, I think it's surprising how everybody's having the same thought. Is that I think all of us think that we might have learned something, but we don't know what it is. And I think all of us just want this period to end and go back to how it was in 2019, I think, which in a lot of ways says that we don't want to learn anything. We just want it to be back where it was. But I'm sure we've all learned. The biggest example I'm telling now, people from the US who call me because there's like an explosion of the pandemic happening there, and we seem to be doing quite well here, right? I mean, at least by the numbers. And the thing is, has life come back to normal in India? In a lot of ways, yes. People are just wearing a mask and maybe sanitizing their hands and doing everything they used to do before the pandemic. So I don't know what we've all learned, but I think we'll soon find out.
Yeah.
I personally don't know, vis-a-vis Anupam, what you asked as like, how's it changed me as a storyteller? I think that there's a bunch of stuff that inshallah I'll be doing next year. So maybe I think I'd like to watch that and see if it, but I think individually everyone's had such a different experience. I mean, I literally have just come out of COVID. And in my head, I was like, oh God, I should have got this when I was doing the short film, when I was just thinking about the idea, because I would have been like, had that firsthand experience. The story could have been very different. But I think
to a filmmaker to get COVID and say, damn, I didn't mind this for my art, or this should have come earlier, so I could have used it.
No, I was very lucky. I had a very mild version. I'm very lucky. I'm on like day 16. It's all good and very, very lucky. But like the one thing that I have understood is like, I also feel that COVID is very much a mind thing. I mean, it's not like it does exist, but I think just about just keeping your mind together, because we have to learn to live with it. This is the result of everything we've done. it's a direct result of what we've done to our environment, what we've done to like the world in general, and how we've behaved on Earth. So I feel like there's a lot of introspection that has happened.
Tanishta, what about you?
I think, big revolutions and movements and all are sometimes beyond our hands. And especially in our generation, we do see that we are constantly on social media and thinking we are changing everything by voicing our opinions, and nothing shifts. So for me, it's really important that I shift something small just outside my housing complex, in my parents' life, in my friends, and in my immediate environment. That could be my little contribution. I have been doing it for a number of years. I've just become more proactive in doing that.
And you, Nikhil, last word to you.
No, it's very. I mean, for me, it was again like Nitya said, a lot of introspection, right? I mean, most people know that I've been straddling the producer director role for the last 3-4 years, right? I mean, so you're constantly saying this is a film that we should be making, but no, but we need to make 100 crore film, so let's do this instead, right? So constantly you're constantly somewhere with sacrificing what you know is a great story for commerce or whatever. And I just, when it happens in March 22nd, you are sitting over here and suddenly boom, everything closes down. And you think to yourself, well, what are the stories you really told? You've not really told any stories. You got somebody, and so you can turn around and say, who makes films for reviews? We don't make films for reviews. And Anupama can go to hell. I have got 100 crore opening or some shit like that. All that can happen. But then suddenly you think about, but I have so many stories to tell. So I think that becomes a little frustrating if you're working with me right now, because every time somebody comes and says, but we've got this person's date and this so-and-so person next year wants to do a film with us. I say, okay, good. Get it maybe somebody else. I'm still looking for my story, which I want to tell. So I think that the main thing that has happened is that, like Avinash said, which is that what has happened to me is that suddenly on the 22nd of March or the 23rd or whatever, everything could end. And you were planning to go for shooting in 3 days' time for some film that actually you really did not believe in, So I think that's been a big shift as far as I'm concerned. And the opportunity to make the apartment was that, wow, I can tell the story the way I want to tell, with the actors that I really want to work with. I've never had the opportunity of working with, and the way I want to actually shoot it, And I think that is something that I want to take forward with even the stuff that I'm doing, which could be possibly bigger. I have only these many stories that I can tell and I want to tell. And now's the time to tell it, because you don't know. Kal ho na ho,
Correct. Yes, indeed.
Nice plug, Nikhil. Nice plug.
Nice one.
Which, by the way, I rewatched in the lockdown and enjoyed just as much as I did the first time. How can you resist Shah Rukh spreading his arms on that damn bridge?
He was balancing himself. Do you know? He was actually just balancing himself. It was not really a thing. Then it looked so good. We said, do it. He was just trying to balance it.
Happy accidents of movie making. Thank you, everyone. And it's been such a pleasure to speak to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anupama.
Bye.
If you like this video, please subscribe to Film Companion.